Okay, so here's what we're going to make. We're going to make a coil of wire. These are really fun to use. They have such a great diverse usage in jewelry making and anything else. And so what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how to wrap your coil, and we're going to use a variety of different mandrels. I like knitting needles. I prefer metal or rigid plastic. Wood mandrels, if you wrap the wire too tightly, digs into the wood and then you have a hard time getting your coil to slide off of it. So we're going to start off with the small one here, and that's what this coil came from. And that's about 4 millimeter, I'm going to guess. And this one makes a nice cord end for attaching your clasp and stuff to cord end. So we're gonna also show you that too. And I'm going to show you how to cut jump rings from this, and how to do some other components that really makes this a fun embellishment for lots of different designs. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use 20 gauge copper wire, bare copper wire. This is a nice weight for cord ends and for jump rings, but you can use anything you like. For embellishments, you can use really fine wire. You can use another size wire as your mandrel. So if you're using 24 gauge or 26 gauge wire for a real teeny tiny little fine coil, you can use like a nice stiff 18 gauge wire as your mandrel, and that works out really nice. But we're going to go ahead and just going to pull off a piece. Now you can work from the spool, but I'm going to go ahead and pull off a piece just so that it's more manageable. Okay, so what I do is I take my wire and I go down halfways, and I take my mandrel and I lay that across my mandrel. And actually I'm going to I want to roll it going forward, so I'm going to lay it towards the back. I've got half of it going up and half of it down. So now you're just going to start getting that to start winding. And with each wind, you want the next one right up against the previous one, so that you have it nice and close together, like so. So now I'm just going to continue to wind, and see, I have the other side as a leverage for me to put my finger on, so it's a lot easier to keep a grip. And try to keep your wires nice and straight throughout the whole thing. Don't use bent up wire if you can help. I got a little kink in my wire there, but anyway, so you're just going to wind. Okay, I'm just going to leave that piece there, and now I'm going to wind the other side. And I like to just take it and flip it over. And now we're just going to wind the other side. Watch out on a knitting needle because it is tapered at the end. You don't want to get it too close to the end because then you end up with it tapered. Okay, I'm at the end here, so we're just going to leave it like this, okay? And we're going to slide it off. And we're going to clean up our ends with our flush cutter. Okay, so remember that the flat side goes towards your work. So we're going to flush cut. This end is going to come out the back side of the cutter here. So we're going to come in here and we're going to give that, just that first loop there, give it a little trim, and then we'll trim the other side. And there we have a coil. It's not the neatest one in the world, but you know what I'm trying to do here. So anyway, this is great. So let me show you what you can do. If you're going to antique this, I would do it right now and then clean it up. And then go ahead and cut what you need off of it, because it's too hard to antique and clean up each individual little piece that you cut off of here. So just do, well, we would put this in the liver of sulfur, and check out the link for my other video that shows you how to use liver of sulfur. Okay, so now I like to use coils for spacer beads. So if you're going to do that, what you want to do is your flush cut wants to go towards the bead that you want. And just determine where you want to cut it and just cut into it. Now we need to clean cut that. That end has a sharp little thingy on it. So I'm going to flip my pliers over so that the flush is not facing the end of my little wire, and I'm going to give that a little snip. Okay, so now I have a little spacer bead. And so you would just keep cutting whatever spacer beads that you wanted off of your coil. Let me show you how to cut jump rings. So you always start with a clean flush cut by just cutting that first ring and not cutting into the one back behind it. Now, let's see if I can bring this in. Okay, so now I want to cut jump rings. So we flush cut that end right there, and now we need to flush cut the one right behind it. So you're going to take, we had our cutters this way. Now I'm going to flip them over because it's the other side of the little loop that I want. And I'm going to line it up so that I can see that edge. And then I'm just going to give it a little snip. And now I have a jump ring that has clean cut ends. So I want to do another one, so I need to flip my cutter over again, give myself a flush cut, flip them over again, line up that cut end right there. I'm looking at it through my cutters, just like that. I'm not cutting into it. And now I'm just going to clip the loop back behind it without cutting into the rest of the coil. And there's my jump ring. And so each time you have to flip your cutter over. So flip, cut, flip, cut, jump rings. So that's how you cut your own jump rings. It's handy to have. I always have a bunch of these coils made up in different sizes and different gauges. Then you can cut whatever you need. This wouldn't be something I would want to do if I had to do, a gazillion of them. I probably would saw this with a jeweler saw or something if I really needed a whole lot of them. But this is a great quick way. Okay, so now let me show you how to do cord ends. So you're going to determine how long you want your cord end to be, and it's just like when you cut the bead. You're going to just cut the size that you want, and then you're going to clean up, give yourself a flush cut right there on the end. Now, I'm going to take, I'm going to clean up this side too. Now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I am going to bend up one of these loops. So I'm going to take, and I'm looking for the opening, which is right there. There's the end of the wire right there. So I want to go directly across from that, and that's where I want to start lifting that up. So usually I can get my nail underneath it, and I'm going to take my plier, and I'm just going to lift it up. And there you go. Now you have a connector. You can add your clasp to that, or this could be the ring for your clasp to hook into on one side. So that's what I'm going to use that for. Now let me show you how to do the other one. And I'll do it with this one that I had cut previously. Okay, so now instead of lifting this directly across from the cut end, I am going to lift this from the side here, and I'm just going to take this like so. So I've got it right there where the cut end is right there, and I'm going to just turn it. So that I have a nice loop that is in the center of my coil. And that's where I like to, how I like to attach my clasps, so that it sits in the center of the coil. Now, if this is large enough, if this comes out large enough that your clasp will hook right into it, by all means do it that way. But I find that with the smaller ones, it's not as big as it is when you do it just lifting the whole loop instead of half of the loop. So you see what we got there? Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to attach it to your cords. Okay, I've got some satin rat tail here, and I just cut a small piece. This normally would be like a necklace size or bracelet size. I guess this could be for a bracelet. And this satin rat tail, you can see how it sort of frays a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to take a lighter, and I'm just going to melt the ends, and I'm not sticking it in the flame. I am just using the heat just to harden that up a little bit, and so that it won't shred when I shove it through the cord end. Okay, so we're going to put a cord end on. Now you could add a little glue if you wanted to, and I'm going to put that right in there like so. Now see the little end right there, the little cut end? We're going to grab onto the edge of that, and we're just going to clamp it down. So I'm going to take my chain nose, and I'm going to grab the loop behind it for leverage, and then I'm just going to clamp down onto that little wire, and see, that's what we end up with. And that is quite secure. Okay, and then we do the other side. Find the open side there. Come in and squeeze. And there you go. Look at that. Cool, eh? That's totally handmade now, when you can finish off your cords with handmade ends. So now you would just go ahead and you would open up this end here to attach your clasp. Now remember, when you are opening up loops, you always twist them open. You never open them out against their shape, because you'll never get them back the way they're supposed to go. So you just twist that open, and then you would just go ahead, and I'll just pretend like this is the clasp, put it on, and bring it right back where you found it so that that can't come off. Isn't that cool? And it's very secure and works fabulous. I love it. You have control over how long you want to make it, how chunky, everything. So there you go. That's how you do that. Now, another thing you can do is you can take this coil and we can cut ourselves off a component just like we did We're going to lift up both ends. Like so. And then lift up the other side. It is tough doing this on a video and trying to get it in the right so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now what you could do is you can go ahead and make little components like this. And then you can link them together in a chain. And that looks very cool. Or you can put an ear wire through one side and then hang other things off of it for an earring. There's just so much you can do with this. Coils are fun. They're cool. So, I hope you enjoyed cool coils. Here's my jump ring. When I go to open my jump ring, I'm just going to twist it open and then twist it back closed. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and hope you have fun with your coils. We'll see you next time. Have a good day. Thanks.